Dr. Pawliw-Fry is a pioneer in the exciting new field of emotional intelligence.
Let me ask you a question. How many thoughts do you think we have a day? This is the interactive part of the program. According to research, we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Actually, a female colleague of mine tells me men only have one thought a day. 60,000 times, right? People are actually in their own little bubbles of thinking. Every one of us, right now, we're in our little bubbles of thinking. And the high performer among us is the person who can step outside of their bubble, honor it, but step outside and tune into what other people are feeling and thinking. You know, we do studies of high-performing CEOs at the U.S. Navy, commanding officers. You know what we find? They don't use command and control. They actually are very good at using emotional intelligence. Step outside, tune into what other people are feeling and thinking, because here's the deal. You can command and control. Think of this with your staff and your team. You can command and control anyone for 6 or 8 months, but at some point they stop listening. They tune out.
Dr. Pawliw-Fry understands what differentiates the high performers from his firsthand experience working with professional athletes, Olympic medalists, as well as senior executives and salespeople from around the world. Author, columnist, and media personality, Dr. Pawliw-Fry is the co-director of the Institute for Health and Human Potential, a world-leading organization that develops and delivers unique training programs in emotional intelligence.
I mean, if I could have you walk away with anything today, it's look at yourself. Look at where can I get better. That's what I love about working with Olympic athletes or professional athletes and teams. Is the best athletes are not afraid to say, how can I get better? How can I get better? Where's my edge to be found? You know, I work with the Orlando Magic of the NBA, and their coach, Doc Rivers. Whether you're a basketball fan or not, you might know that he was fired. They had a horrible start to the season. Doc Rivers 2 years ago won NBA Coach of the Year. Do you know what Doc Rivers is doing right now? I mean, on top of announcing on ABC every Sunday. You know what else he's doing? He is going and traveling to colleges and other NBA teams and watching practices to pick up what he can to become a better coach. That's what it's all about. Can you be big enough? You know, can you be big enough? And this is what self-awareness is all about. Can you be big enough to say, I'm still here to learn. How can I get better?
A leading authority on leadership and performance, last year Dr. Pawliw-Fry reached audiences in the UK, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and Australia with the following presentations. Redefining Leadership, What Highly Effective Leaders Do. The Motivation Myth. High-performance sales is not driven by motivation, but by managing setbacks effectively. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. Tools to thrive in turbulent times.
But you know what I see in organizations and small teams today more than anything? It's the swallowing of truth. You know, you feel or your staff feels put down, let down, or shut down. And if they don't either have the environment available to step in and speak their truth, or if they're just not feeling strong enough to do it, you're missing something, both on the business edge side and on the people edge side. Good ideas that aren't being articulated because there's fear. But more importantly, if people start to feel, like if they start to kind of swallow truth, you know what happens? Residue builds up on that relationship, and pretty soon you can't work with that person. Do you know, if I studied each of you, you and your spouse, today, we could predict with 94% accuracy. That's huge predictive validity. 94% accuracy, which of you would still be together in a happy, loving relationship 5 years from today based on one EQ competency. Do you know what that is? How skillfully we air our grievances. You see, in every relationship you're in at home, with your team and staff, you're going to have tension. You're going to have complexity. And your ability as a leader of those folks to create what I call a container of safety and inspiration so they can step in and speak their truth to you means that you will decrease the residue, and now you'll be able to really innovate, really think of new ideas of how you can serve the people you serve more effectively.
JP's powerful keynotes receive critical acclaim. Fantastic, very leading edge thinking. JP has huge energy and passion. Our leadership team couldn't get enough of him. I could listen to him all day. IBM, USA. I do not say this lightly. This was the most powerful keynote I've ever heard. Wow! JP was charged with setting the tone for the rest of the week. He clearly over-delivered. Pfizer, Argentina. Outstanding! The best keynote presentation I've been doing in years. Very different than the usual, extremely powerful, yet highly entertaining. It's not often I hear someone who can really put it together. Ernst Young, Austria. Awesome presentation. This will change my life. Thank you for all of your passion, enthusiasm, and integrity, and for making this our best meeting ever. Merck, USA.
Let me ask you a question. How good a predictor is IQ in determining who will be a star? What do you think? This is the interactive part of the program. So what is this EQ? About 7 years ago, I did a program in Hawaii, very similar to this. And they flew over my wife along with me. So we flew over from the East Coast to Honolulu, picked up by a female cab driver, not so surprising. Beside her was a 7 or 8-year-old daughter. And it was obvious to my wife and I that we were out of our element as parents, because we had a 1 and 3-year-old at the time, when that 7 or 8-year-old said, "Mommy, where are all the idiots today?" Without skipping a beat, her mom replies, "Relax, dear. They only come out when your dad is driving." And to me, this story illustrates everything about emotional intelligence. How we see the world, right, directly impacts our behavior, doesn't it? And our behavior impacts the important people around us. If we have no self-awareness about how we see the world, is that an idiot cutting us off, or someone who's going to the hospital for an emergency? Do we even know? If we have no clue, no self-awareness, how can we manage ourselves? Well, we can't. And if we can't manage ourselves, the research is pretty clear we can't connect with the important people in our life. And we can't be great personal leaders. And this is important if we are parents, or if think about that as parents. You know what I say to parents? Don't worry that your child doesn't always listen to you. Worry that they're constantly watching you. They're looking for cues. We model behavior. 75% of behavior is driven by modeling. Think about that. Einstein said setting an example is not the main means of influencing another. It is the only means. Think about that at home. Every time you hit a setback, or you have conflict in your spousal relationship, think about the model. And it's okay to fight, but how do you fight? Honestly, that's the model that they will use 20 years from now when they're getting up here to give a presentation, or when they're dealing with change in their lives. You have a lot of responsibility. As at work, you're going to leave this conference and there are going to be 75, 85% of people in your organization who are going to look at you and try, what's going on? What's the message they delivered? That is both such a responsibility, but such an opportunity. Don't miss that opportunity. Do you know that high performers, in our research, we find high performers extract 3 to 5 times more information from feedback or opportunities to learn than average performers? Isn't that extraordinary? So if you're sitting here for the conference or any opportunity, what can I learn? What one thing can I grab to use tomorrow? That will differentiate you, just that alone. Alvin Toffler, the great futurist, said the illiterate of the future will not be able to read and write. They will be unable to learn, unlearn, and relearn.